Today we have got a very special telecast with Infosys chief, managing editor Nikunj Dalmia was in conversation with him, and here's a slice of that exclusive chat for you.
Mr. Parekh, I'm going to take the conversation up from where your last official public conversation was, which is along with your Q4 numbers. A lot has changed after that, both in terms of how the crisis has evolved, how economies have opened, and how economies have shut down. You were cautiously optimistic in the month of April when you spoke last, but that was April end. It is June beginning now. In your assessment, has anything changed between April and now?
Nikunj, a lot of things have changed. And let me share a few thoughts, and then we can come back to more specifics as well. First, we've gone through a tremendous transition where we've stabilized operations. Our primary focus was the safety of our employees. And I really want to thank all our employees who've done an incredible job of providing service to our clients. The second objective was to make sure all our client service delivery was absolutely as per our commitments. And the third, of course, with all the changes that were going on, we wanted to make sure Infosys was taking all the right steps for the present, but also for the long-term future of the company, its clients and employees. What has now happened, and I'd shared then, we were about 93% of our employees working from home. Today, of course, all of our work is being done extremely efficiently. The majority of our employees are working from home at this stage as well. However, some of our campuses are open again. 5% of our employees are already working from campuses. Our approach has been extremely flexible and open, where we've shared with our employees that they are welcome to come back. There are some client situations where it's been very useful to have that. But in general, all of our service deliveries work extremely well. The second, we've seen many of the segments that we talked about then, for example, retail or manufacturing, we see that those obviously had some difficulties. But the other segments, sectors, industries are starting to look quite okay. At that stage, we didn't know how this was going to play out. Today, a few weeks later, we see that many of those other sectors are actually in a good shape. And we see as many of the Western markets, the European countries, the US states are opening up. We see some of those things in the economy is coming back. Of course, now we are much more careful with the cases in India still going up in a small percentage. We want to be extremely cautious as how we manage our service delivery going forward. So many things have changed, but I remain overall quite positive because the pace of acceleration of technology is really become faster. We see the adoption of digital, the adoption of cloud going even at a faster pace with our clients. And those were the themes that we were driving before. And I feel that those are the themes that are going to become faster as we come out of this.
So hypothetically, if you have to announce your numbers tomorrow morning, are you in a position to give a guidance? Because you shied away from giving a guidance largely because of the messy environment we were in. At least the Western world was in a messy environment in April.
Yeah, in terms of the guidance, we'd said at the end of March, early April, that we didn't have visibility for the full year. At this stage, we will make a decision of that as we end the quarter. The way normally guidance works, at least in our business, we typically have a good idea in a non-COVID or let's say a normalized environment of what's going on a quarter or two ahead. And then we have a good trend line based on large deals and other indicators of how the future quarters look like. So at the end of this quarter, we will relook at it and come back to what we'll do with the guidance.
But based on the choice of the words which you've just used, in your own words, things are becoming better, things are becoming normal. There are some, obviously concern areas in retail and aviation, but barring that, things are looking up. Can I safely conclude that?
We can absolutely say that we see the other sectors outside the ones you just mentioned are doing quite okay. The concern in the start of April, or when the company last spoke, was will all sectors be impacted? And we don't see that. That's fair to say.
Then why is your SEC filing really not in sync with what you are communicating?
So the SEC filing, what you're referring to, our 20F filing, that takes into account all of the factors that we see in the market. So as a responsible company, we do have to share what are the possibilities that can happen. Those things are in no way my comments are in no way to diminish what we put in the 20F filing. Those are legitimate points. Those represent some of the concerns and some of the opportunities in a typical way that a risk statement represents that.
Now, a scary word which Infosys has used in the past is profit warning. So what you are saying is that, look, folks, this is not a profit warning. This is a pure acknowledgement of what is good and what is bad. And this is not like some profit warning which you've spelled out.
That's right. If you look at the 20F filings from previous years, we as a responsible corporate provide all of the possible situations which can be concerning and which are opportunities within our business. And that's how 20F filings are reflected normally.
How has your business changed? What has your client communication been? Because historians, they like to divide the world into BC and AD. The modern businessmen are like to divide the world into pre-COVID and post-COVID.
What's happened here, Nikunj, is as a consequence of this, in fact, the connect with our clients has significantly increased in the sense of more communication through these channels of video communications almost on a daily basis. And what I've learned from those communications is many of our clients, especially if I take companies which are not today in retail, and I'll come back to retail or some level of manufacturing, are really accelerating what they're driving through digital or cloud adoption. What I mean by that, I was in a discussion 2 weeks ago with the US client CIO, and their discussion was how do they enable their sales force to use digital much faster, because that's one of the only ways in this world, in this environment, to connect with their end customers and clients. We also see where the segments that are impacted, there's also faster adoption, but almost with the view of what is the most affordable way to get this adoption done. So then I come back to, if you recall, when we had shared our strategy maybe a couple of years ago, our focus was very much on playing and approaching this world through a digital lens. If you saw our last quarter, Q4 of last year, our digital business was growing at 38% and was about 42% of the overall company. So my takeaway really is that all of that is going to go faster and accelerate. So while we'll have some discretionary spend, which is impacted because of the COVID situation, and we may have some near-term impact, in the medium and long term, I'm actually more optimistic of where we are ending up. And if you see the annual report note that I wrote, my own thinking there is we are on a very good trajectory where we're going to drive all of the transformation that our clients are going through on their digital and cloud journey.
When you say near-term challenges are there, would you like to define them?
What we see is, the sectors we talked about, they're going through a lot of difficulty. So there's going to be some constraints in what kind of spending they do on discretionary projects, which are more long-term contracts, are more stable. But what are more discretionary, they will have to be careful, because you look at some of those businesses, a large part of the revenue in a short instance has gone away. My sense is as that starts to come back, those projects will come back. And the near-term nature of this is difficult to define, but certainly it's in the nature of a quarter or two from what we see today.
So can I safely assume that there have been no large massive cancellations and there is no large drop in billing rates?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we have seen quite positively, there's been no large cancellation. And overall, we've been seeing, except for the sectors where there's some impact, no real impact on our pricing as well.
Do you think clients are still engaging with you for billion-dollar deals? You had a hallmark deal which you announced in your Q4 numbers. Is the new normal changing the size of the deal, or how are big deals moving? Let me put it this way.
What's happening then, Nikunj, is we are seeing many of our clients. I was with a bank CIO on one of these discussions 3 weeks ago. And there the discussion was how we've done this transition so effectively when we went through work from home. There we start to see that they want to consolidate their work away from some small partners, but also in discussion some larger partners who've not handled it so well. So my sense is, if we do this well, if we engage with our clients well, we continue to build that trust, we might see some of those large deals coming up even in the future as we look at this COVID environment. So I don't think the large deal momentum necessarily disappears. It's a different kind of a large deal environment. Of course, again, in the near term, decision-making will be a bit slower, but this type of consolidation opens up new opportunities for us.
So where do you think the industry is headed? I remember a couple of quarters ago, you said that Infosys is working towards becoming a company which wants to grow higher than the industry average.
Right. So the way, again, if you look at the last 2 years, last year we grew at 9.8%, the year before at 9%. We're very much, I would say, the fastest growing large tech services company. My sense is we want to keep that momentum going, but it's really a function of how we work with our clients and how they choose to trust us. So in itself, it's not a goal. The goal for us is become a trusted partner or remain a trusted partner with our clients as they go on their digital and cloud journey. And if we can do that well, if we have the right capabilities, my sense is the rest will follow. The rest being whether it's large deals, whether it's the growth, whether it's rewarding all of our stakeholders. Those are outcomes that will follow if we stay with our clients in their journey.
Should shareholders completely ignore FY21, not for Infosys, but for that matter, any IT company, and all reference checks and views should be only based on FY22 now?
Well, it's difficult to say how to advise shareholders on those sort of things. I think the reality, there's a medical situation which is worldwide. All companies, including Infosys, have to adapt and address that for their clients. We are fortunate to be sitting with $3.6 billion of cash, very strong relationships, a good transition. And we've also transitioned the way we are looking at the market and our clients' needs. So hopefully we'll start to see the benefits of that. But in general, I think shareholders, like all other human beings or citizens of different countries, are seeing what's going on in the world. And I'm sure that they factor that in.
So if I have to use the weather terminology,
right,
you think in the short term predicting the weather would be difficult, but the season, which is the long-term 2-year view, 3-year view, both in terms of relevance and importance for Indian IT and Infosys, is solid as ever?
My sense is, in fact, the technology themes, the digital themes, the cloud themes are even more strong now, because what this is, the medical situation or the pandemic has shown everyone is there are ways to address it. And if we can do those well, which is now digital and cloud, we can be even stronger. And for Infosys, I feel absolutely that those are the themes we'd adopted even before the pandemic. And the acceleration will help us as long as we continue to invest in those. And as you said, we continue to build the trust of our clients.
Work at home. Now from Twitter to Google, from Facebook to TCS, there is a universal acknowledgement that work from home is a reality. At Infosys, what has been your experience? Because when you shared the details of what kind of migration you did along with the Q4 numbers, it was very heartening to see that 90% plus people had migrated.
Yeah, no, I think we were fortunate. Again, here, we've invested over the past several years in the technology infrastructure the remote access, and the telecommunications you need to make work from home easy and secure. So we were able to scale that up rapidly because to do work from home, we have a 240,000 people. We need multiple concurrent users using bandwidth for the company network, leave alone the public network, effectively to make sure that the client work is going on. And fortunately, though that infrastructure was already in place, we simply had to scale it up and then make it effective. And our team has worked tremendously in those few weeks and all through to make all of that happen. I'm eternally grateful for how all of our employees have rallied to this. And we also wanted to make sure that the safety was critical. And there we made sure that by working from home, all of those were followed. So that part really has gone, I feel, quite well for Infosys.
So in terms of a new model, what is the relevance of on-site versus offshore? If work from home is the reality, are you looking at a one-time reboot in your SG&A campuses? What will happen to the beautiful campuses which Infosys has? Will everything change now?
Now, there are many things to keep in mind here. One of the reasons, I think, in addition to the technology infrastructure that work from home, remote working has worked for Infosys is because we've had what I call social capital that was built up over the years. We have leadership teams at the project level, teams across departments, all of them who know each other well and trust each other. And that was built over years of working together in, let's say, not the work from home, in the office environment or in other environments. My sense is, while it's very important we continue work from home, there will come a time whenever the medical milestones are crossed of therapeutics and vaccine, where we will be again able to work more effectively wherever we choose to. And we should always look at that time to rebuild and further expand the social capital, because that is the glue really that has helped to put all of this together. And I think underestimating the value of that will cause problems for companies in the future.
So you are not consciously looking at migrating a percentage of your workforce to work from home. The reason I'm asking you a question is because one of your peers has, in a sense, given us a 3-year or 4-year guidance that this much of the workforce will be migrated to work from home.
Well, at this stage, we've not built a target model. What I'm clear is there are tremendous benefits of work from home or remote working. It creates, for many employees, a lot of flexibility, and there's a value to that flexibility. There's also benefit for the company. As you pointed out, there could be some efficiencies and cost over time. But my only point is there is also something around what we call social capital, which is critical, which we should not ignore. And the way to decide this is to build a model once we are out of the crisis mode and start to see what were the pros and cons of what happened in that mode. And we are thinking about it within the company. And we have some ideas, but as we get more and more comfortable with those, we'll start to share those publicly.
But if I have to talk about the trajectory, like you spoke about the digital trajectory, which is 40% of the business, perhaps it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Right. In terms of a trajectory, will Indian IT sector see a big reboot in SG&A expenses, travel expenses, on-site expenses? These are very large costs and historical costs. And now companies have the ability or the courage, both are the right words, ability and the courage to experiment there, bring the cost down permanently.
I think on SG&A or in general in cost efficiency, my sense is certainly Infosys, but my guess is the industry at large will look at what are the most effective ways of using that cost. And as you say, if the travel can be replaced in a steady state with more communication in this method, as we are communicating, I'm sure it will be done. But again, we have to make sure once we get to that, let's say the new steady state, what is the competitive dynamic and how is it critical in building relationships and ensuring that complete understanding of the situation carries on. from a business and social perspective. So there will definitely be efficiencies, but my sense is too early to say that you're going to see X percent come out on a permanent basis.
We've always looked at the number of hiring, which is more like a forward guidance from any IT company to understand which way business or the revenue run rate is moving. But do you think now there could be a complete reboot in the way you would hire? Because work at home will change productivity levels, the need of skill and demand would be different. So on the employee front, how does one really judge now? We work the linear model, X hiring means X employee, because we understand the productivity and utilization level. Now it's difficult for me to fathom because work at home changes all the calculations.
Well, in some ways it changes the calculation on hiring, but overall, once again, we see what is the steady state of the work from home approach, or even the approach that will develop post some of the medical milestones. My sense is the hiring is still an important part of our industry. We see the technology demand, as I was sharing earlier, being quite critical in the digital and cloud areas. So my suggestions to college graduates, wherever they are, if they're looking at the tech world, those are the areas that...
That was a big exclusive with Infosys chief